Sudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Adi Lila, chapter 10, from verse 15 onwards. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tamham vande Shri Guru Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 15. बड़ा शाखा गदाधर पंडित गोसानी तेनो लक्ष्मी रूपा तानरा सम केहनाई. Bada Shakha, big branch, Gadadhar Pandit Gosani, the descendants or disciplic succession of Gadadhar Pandit. Tenho Gadadhar Pandit, Lakshmi Rupa, incarnation of the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Tanra, his, Sama, equal, Keha, anyone, nigh, there is none. Translation. Gadadhar Pandit, the fourth branch, is described as an incarnation of the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. No one therefore can equal him. Purport. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 147-53, it is stated, Sri Krishna's pleasure potency, formerly known as Vrindavaneshwari, is now personified in the form of Sri Gadadhar Pandit in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami has pointed out that in the shape of Lakshmi, the pleasure potency of Krishna, she was formerly very dear to the Lord as Shyam Sundar Vallabh. The same Shyam Sundar Vallabha is now present in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Gadadhar Pandit. Formerly as Lalita Sakhi, she was always devoted to Srimati Radharani. Thus, Gadadhar Pandit is simultaneously an incarnation of Srimati Radharani and Lalita Sakhi. In the 12th chapter of this part of the Chaitanya Charitamrit, there is description of the descendants or disciplic succession of Gadadhar Pandit. Verse 16. Tanra Shishya Upashishya Tanra Upashakha Emata Sabashakha Upashakhara Lekha. Tanra, his Shishya disciples, Upashishya grand disciples and admirers, Tanra, his Upashakha sub branches, Aimata in this way, Sabha all, Shakha branches, Upshakhara sub branches, Lekha to describe by writing. Translation. His disciples and grand disciples are his sub branches. To describe them all would be difficult. Verse 17. Vakreshwara Pandit Prabhura Bada Priya Nritya Ek Bhave Chabisa Rahara Yanra Nritya. Vakreshwara Pandit, Prabhura of the Lord, Bada very Priya dear, Nritya servant, Ek Bhave continuously in the same ecstasy, Chabisa 24. Of course, this is Bengali, so 26 is 24. Chabisa in Hindi would be 26. Prahara, a duration of time comprising 3 hours. Yanra, whose Nritya dancing. Vakreshwar Pandit, the fifth branch of the tree, was a very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya's. He could dance with constant ecstasy for 72 hours. Purport. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 71, it is stated that Vakreshwar Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha and Pradyumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 hours when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Shivas Pandit. Vakreshwar Pandit was one of the chief dancers and he danced continuously for that length of time. Sri Govind Das, an Oriya devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has described the life of Vakreshwar Pandit in his book Gaura Krishnodaya. There are many disciples of Vakreshwar Pandit in Orissa, and they are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, although they are Oriyas. Among these disciples are Sri Gopal Guru and his disciple Sri Dhyan Chandra Goswami. Verse 18. Apne Mahaprabhu Gaya Yanra Nritya Kale Prabhura Charan Dhari Vakreshwara Bale. Apne personally Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Guy sang Yanra, whose Nitya Kale at the time of dancing, Prabhura of the Lord's Charana lotus feet, Dhari embracing Vakreshwar Pandit, Bale said. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakreshwar Pandit danced, and thus Vakreshwar Pandit fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. Verse 19. Dasha Sahasra Gandharva Mor Deha Chandramukha Tara Gaye Muni Nachon Tave Mor Sukha. Dasha Sahasra 10,000 Gandharva residents of Gandharva Lok. More unto me, Deha, please deliver Chandramukh, O moon-faced one. Tara Gai, let them sing. Muni Nachon, let me dance. Tabe, then Mora my Sukha happiness. O Chandramukh, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas. Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. Purport: the Gandharvas who are residents of Gandharva are celebrated as celestial singers. Whenever singing is needed in the celestial planets, the Gandharvas are invited to sing. The Gandharvas can sing continuously for days, and therefore Vakreshwar Pandit wanted to dance as they sang. Verse 20. Prabhu bale tumi mora paksha ek shakha akashe uditam yadi pan ar pakha. Prabhu bale Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, to me you, Mora my paksha wing, eka ek, shakha one-sided, akashe in the sky, uditam I could fly, yadi if, pan I could get, ar another pakha wing. Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. Verse 21. Pandita Jagadanand Prabhura Prana Rupa Loke Khyata Yinho Satya Bhamara Swarupa. Pandit Jagadanand, Prabhura of the Lord, Pran Rupa, life and soul, Loke in the world, Khyata, celebrated, Yenho, who, Satyabhamara of Satyabhama, Swarup, personification. Translation: Pandit Jagadanand, the sixth branch of the Chaitanya tree, was celebrated as the life and soul of the Lord. He is known to have been an incarnation of Satyabhama, one of the chief queens of Lord Krishna. Purport: there are many dealings of Jagadanand the Pandit with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion and especially took part in all the pastimes of the Lord in the houses of Srivas Pandit and Chandrasekhar Acharya. Verse 22. Pritya karite chahe prabhura lalan palan, vairagya lok bhaye prabhu namane kakhan. Pritya, in the intimacy or affection, karite to do, chahe wanted, prabhura the Lord's lalan palan maintenance, vairagya renouncement, lokabhay fearing the public, prabhu the Lord, na did not, mane accept, kakhana any time. Jagadanand Pandit, as an incarnation of Satyabhama, always wanted to see to the comfort of Lord Chaitanya, but since the Lord was a sannyasi, he did not accept the luxuries that Jagadanand Pandit offered. Verse 23. Dui jane khatmati lagaya kondala tanra prityera katha age kahiba sakala. Dui jane, two persons, khatmati fighting over trifles, lagaya continued, kondala quarrel, tanra his, prityera affection, katha narration, age ahead, kahiba I shall speak, sakala all. They sometimes appeared to fight over trifles, but these quarrels were based on their affection, of which I shall speak later. Verse 24. Raghav Pandita Pramura Adya Anuchara Tanra Eka Shakha Mukhya Makradhvaja Kara. Raghav Pandit, Prabhura of the Lord, Adya original, Anuchara follower, Tanra his, Eka one, Shakha branch, Mukhya chief, Makaradhvaj, Kara surname. Raghav Pandit, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original follower, is understood to have been the seventh branch. From him proceeded another sub-branch, headed by Makaradhwaja Kara. Purport: Kara was a surname of Makaradhwaj. At present, this surname is generally found in the Kayasth community. The Gaura Ganudesha Deepika 166 states, Dhanishtha Bhakshya Samagrim Krishnaya Dad Vraje Mitam Seva Samapritam Gauranga Priyo Raghav Pandita. Raghav Pandit was formerly a confidential gopi in the Vraj during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes, and his former name was Dhanishtha. This gopi was always engaged in preparing foods for Krishna. Verse 25. Tanara Bhagini Damayanti Prabhura Priyadasi Prabhura Bhoga Samagri Ye Kare Varamasi. Tanara, his Bhagini sister, Damayanti is Damayanti, Prabhura of the Lord, Priya dear, Dasi maid servant, Prabhura of the Lord, Bhoga Samagri cooking materials, Ye who Kare does, Varamasi throughout the whole year. Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti was the dear maid servant of the Lord. She always collected various ingredients with which to cook for Lord Chaitanya. Purport: Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya in the Gaura Ganudesha Deepika 167, it is mentioned Gunamala Vrije Yasid Damayanti Tu Tat Swasa. The gopi named Gunamala appeared as Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti on the East Bengal railway line beginning from the Sialda station in Calcutta. There is a station named Sodapura which is not very far from Calcutta. Within 1 mile of this station, toward the western side of the Ganges, is a village known as Panihati, in which the residence quarters of Raghav Pandit still exist. On Raghav Pandit's tomb is a creeper on a concrete platform. There is also a Madan Mohan deity in a broken down temple nearby. This temple is managed by a local zamindar of the name Sri Shiva Chandra Rai Chaudhary. Makaradhwaj Kara was also an inhabitant of Panihati. Verse 26. Se sabha samagri yata jahalite bhariya Raghav lal iya yana gupata kariya. Se sabha, all those samagri ingredients, yata all of them, jalite bhariya packing in bags, Raghav Pandit, la iya carried, yana goes, gupata kariya very confidentially. What is it? Gupta kariya? Gupata kariya. The foods Damayanti cooked for Lord Chaitanya when he was at Puri were carried in bags by her brother Raghav without the knowledge of others. Verse 27. Varamasa taha prabhu karena angikar Raghavera jali bali prasiddhi yahar. Varamas, the whole year, taha, all those foods, Prabhu Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu karena did, angikar accept, Raghavera jali, the bags of Raghav Pandit, bali so called, prasiddhi celebrated, yahara of which. The Lord accepted these foods throughout the entire year. Those bags are still celebrated as Raghavera jali, the bags of Raghav jali, the bags of Raghav Pandit. Verse 28. Se sabha samagri age kariba vistar yahara shravane bhaktera vahe ashrudhar. Se sabha, all these things, samagri, ingredients of the food, age, further on, kariba, I shall describe, vistara, vividly, yahara, of which, shravane, by the hearing, bhaktera, of a devotee, yahe, vahe, flowing, ashrudhar, tears. I shall describe the contents of the bags of Raghav Pandit later in this book. Hearing this narration, devotees generally cry and tears glide down from their eyes. Purport: a vivid description of these Raghavera jhalis to be found in chapter 10 of the Ante Lila portion of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Verse 29. Prabhura Atyanta Priya Pandita Ganga Das Yanhara Smarane Haya Sarva Bandha Nash. Prabhura of the Lord, Atyant very, Priya dear Pandit Gangadas, Yanhara who smarane, by remembering Haya, it becomes Sarva Bandhanash, freedom from all kinds of bondage. Pandit Gangadas was the eighth branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage. Verse 30. Chaitanya Parshad Shri Acharya Purandar Pita Kari Yanre Bale Gauranga Sundar. Chaitanya Parshad, associate of Lord Chaitanya, Shri Acharya Purandar, Pita father Kari taking him, Yanre whom, Bale says, Gauranga Sundar is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Acharya Purandar, the ninth branch, was a constant associate of Lord Chaitanya's. The Lord accepted him as his father. Purpose, it is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Raghav Pandit, he also visited Purandar Acharya immediately upon receiving an invitation. Purandar Acharya is to be considered most fortunate because the Lord used to greet him by addressing him as his father and embracing him in great love. Verse 31. Damodar Pandit Shakha Premete Prachanda Prabhura Upare Yenhu Kaila Vakya Danda. Damodar Pandit, Shakha, another branch, which is the 10th branch in this case, in this verse. Premete, in affection. Prachanda, very advanced. Prabhura, the Lord. Upare, upon. Yenho, he who. Kaila, did. Vakya Danda, chastisement by speaking. Damodar Pandit, the 10th branch of the Chaitanya tree, was so elevated in love of Lord Chaitanya that he once unhesitatingly chastised the Lord with strong words. Verse 32. Danda katha kahibe aage vistar kariya dande tushta prabhu tanre pathaila nadiya. Danda katha, the narration of such chastisement. Kahiba, I shall speak. Aage, ahead. Vistar, detailed description. Karya, making. Dande, the matter of chastisement. Tushta Prabhu, the Lord is very much satisfied. Tanre, him. Pathaila, sent back. Nadia, Nadia is of course a district of Bengal, where Mayapur is. Later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I shall describe this incident of chastisement in detail. The Lord, being very much satisfied by this chastisement, sent Damodar Pandit to the Navadvip. Purport. Damodar Pandit, who was formerly known as Shaibya in Vrajadham, used to carry messages from Lord Chaitanya to Shachi Mata, and during the Rath Yatra festival, he carried messages from Shachi Mata to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 33. Tanhara Anuja Shakha Shankara Pandita Prabhu Pado Padhan Yanra Nam Viduta. Tanhara, his, in this case, Damodar Pandit's Anuja, younger brother. Shakha, the 11th branch. Shankar Pandit. Prabhu, the Lord's. Pad Upadana, shoes. Yanra, whose name Vidita, celebrated. The 11th branch, the younger brother of Damodar Pandit, as known as Shankar Pandit, he was celebrated as the shoes of the Lord. Verse 34. Sadashiv Pandit Yanra Prabhu Pade Asha Prathame Nityanandera Yanra Ghari Vasa. Sadashiv Pandit, Yanra, whose. Prabhu Pade, unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Asha, constant desire. Prathame, in the beginning. Nityanandera, of Lord Nityananda. Yanra, of whom. Ghari, in the home. Vasa, residence. Translation. Sadashiv Pandit, the 12th branch, was always eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. It was his good fortune that when Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he resided at his house. Purport. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antekand, chapter 9, that Sadashiv Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house. Verse 35. Shri Nrsimha Upasak Pradyumna Brahmachari Prabhu Tanra Nam Kaila Nrsimhananda Kari. Sri Nrsimha Upasak, the worshipper of Lord Nrsimhadev, Pradyumna Brahmachari, Prabhu, the Lord, Tanra, his Nama name, Kaila, turned into Nrsimhananda Kari by such a name. The 13th branch was Pradyumna Brahmachari. Since he was a worshipper of Lord Nrsimhadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Sri Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. Purport: Pradyumna Brahmachari is described in the Ante Lila, 2nd chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya who changed his name to Nrsimhananda. While coming from the house of Raghav Pandit at Panihati to the house of Shivanand, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the heart of Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. To acknowledge this, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari used to accept as eatables the food of 3 deities, namely Jagannath, Nrsimhadev and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Ante Lila, 2nd chapter, verse 48 through 78. Upon receiving information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding towards Vrindavan from Kulia, Nrsimhananda absorbed himself in meditation and by his mental activities began constructing a very nice road from Kulia to Vrindavan. All of a sudden, however, he broke his meditation and told the other devotees that this time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan but would travel only as far as the place known as Kanai Natshala. This is described in Madhya Lila chapter 1 verses 155 through 164. The Gaura Ganudesha Deepika 74 says, Aveshash cha tatha Yeyo Mishre Pradyumna Samanjanke. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradyumna Mishra or Pradyumna Brahmachari to Nrsimhananda Brahmachari, for in his heart Lord Nrsimhadev was manifest. It is said that Lord Nrsimhadev used to talk with him directly. Verse 36. Narayana Pandit Eka Bada I Udar Chaitanya Charana Vinu Nahi Jane Aar. Narayan Pandit Eka, one Bada A, very Udar, liberal Chaitanya Charan, the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, Vinu, except Nahi, not, Jane, no, or anything else. Narayan Pandit, the 14th branch, a great and liberal devotee, did not know anything sheltered but Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Narayan Pandit was the associate of Shiva's Thakur. This is the purport, of course. It is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Antikanda, 8th chapter, 36 verse, that he went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri with the Thakur's brother, Sri Ram Pandit. Verse 37. Shriman Pandit Shakha Prabhura Nij Bhritya Devti Dharena Yabe Prabhu Karena Nitya. Shriman Pandit, Shakha branch, Prabhura of the Lord, Nitya own, Bhritya servant. Devti torchlight, Dharena carries, Yabe while, Prabhu Lord Chaitanya, Karena does, Nitya dance. The 15th branch was Shriman Pandit, who was a constant servitor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to carry a torch while the Lord danced. Purport: Shriman Pandit was among the companions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when the Lord performed Sankirtan, when Lord Chaitanya dressed himself in the form of Goddess Lakshmi and danced in the streets of Navadvip. Shriman Pandit carried a torch to light the way. Verse 38. Shuklambara Brahmachari Bada Bhagyavan Yanra Annamaki Kari Kaila Bhagavan. Shuklambara Brahmachari, Bada, very Bhagyavan, fortunate, Yanra, whose, Anna, food, Magi, begging, Kari, snatching, Kaila, aid, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 16th branch, Shuklambara Brahmachari, was a very fortunate because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly or seriously begged food from him or sometimes snatched it from him forcibly and ate it. Purport: it is stated that Shukalambara Brahmachari, an inhabitant of Navadvip, was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first companion in the Sankirtan movement. When Lord Chaitanya returned from Gaya after initiation, he stayed with Shukalambara Brahmachari because he wanted to hear from him, this devotee, about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Shukalambara Brahmachari collected alms of rice from the inhabitants of Navadvip, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pleasure in eating the rice that he cooked. It is said that Shukalambara Brahmachari was one of the wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lord Krishna begged food from the wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a similar pastime by begging rice from Shukalambara Brahmachari. Verse 39. Nandana Acharya Shakha Jagate Vidita Lokaya Dui Prabhura Yanra Ghare Sthita. Nandana Acharya Shakha, the 17th branch, Jagate, in the world, Vidita, celebrated, Lokaya, hiding, Dui, 2, Prabhura, of the lords, Yanra, of whom, Ghare, in the house, Sthita, situated. Nandanacharya, the 17th branch of Chaitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because of the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. Purport: Nandanacharya was another companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his Kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. Srila Nityananda Prabhu, as Avadhut, travelled on many pilgrimages, and when he first came to Sri Navadvip Dham, he remained hidden in the house of Nandanacharya. It is there that he first met all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash, he asked Ramai Pandit to call Advaita Prabhu, who was hiding in the home of Nandanacharya. For Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was hiding. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also sometimes hid in the home of Nandanacharya. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapters 6 and 17. Verse 40. Shri Mukunda Datta Shakha Prabhura Samadhai Yanhara Kirtane Nache Chaitanya Goswami. Shri Mukundatta, Shakha, another branch, Prabhura of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Samadhai, class friend, Yanhara, whose Kirtane in the Sankirtans, Nache, dances, Chaitanya Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mukunda Datta, a class friend of Lord Chaitanya's, was another branch of the Chaitanya tree. Lord Chaitanya danced while he sang. Purport: Mukunda Datta was born in the Chattagram district in the village of Chandra, which is under the jurisdiction of the police station named Patia. The village is situated 10 krosas or about 20 miles from the home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi in the Gora Ganadesha Deepika 140. It is said, Vrajestitau Gayakau Yau Madhukantha Madhuvritau Mukunda Vasudevau Tau Dattau Goranga Gayakau. In Vraja there were two very nice singers named Madhukantha and Madhuvrita. They appeared in Chaitanya Lila as Mukunda and Vasudev, who were singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where Lord Chaitanya was a student. Mukunda Datta was his class friend, and they frequently engaged in logical arguments. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fight with Mukunda Datta using tricks of logic. This is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda chapters 11 and 12. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, Mukunda Datta gave him pleasure by reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Lila. It was by his endeavour that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami became the disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, as stated in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda 7th chapter. When Mukunda sang in the courtyard of Srivas Prabhu, Mahaprabhu danced with his singing. And when Sri Chaitanya for 21 hours executed an ecstatic manifestation known as Sat Prahariya, Mukund Datta inaugurated the function by singing. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Mukund Datta by calling him Khara Jatiya Beta because he attended many functions held by different classes of non-devotees. This is stated in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, chapter 10, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as the goddess of fortune to dance in the house of Chandrasekhar. Mukund Datta began the first song. Before disclosing his desire to take the renounced order of life, Lord Chaitanya first went to the house of Mukund Datta, but at the time, Mukund Datta requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to continue his Sankirtan movement for a few days more before taking sannyas. This is stated in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, chapter 26. The information of Lord Chaitanya's accepting the renounced order was made known to Gadadhar Pandit, Chandrasekhar Acharya and Mukund Datta by Nityanand Prabhu, and therefore all of them went to Katwa and arranged for Kirtan and all the paraphernalia for Lord Chaitanya's acceptance of sannyas. After the Lord took sannyas, they all followed him, especially Lord Shri Nityanand Prabhu, Gadadhar Prabhu and Mukund Datta, who followed him all the way to Purushottam Kshetra. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Ante Lila, chapter 2. In the place known as Jaleshwar, Nityanand Prabhu broke the sannyas rod of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mukund Datta was also present at that time. He went everywhere from Bengal to see Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. Verse 41, Vasudeva Datta Prabhura Bhritya Mahashay Sahasramukhe Yanra Guna Kaile Nahaya. Vasudev Datta Prabhura of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhritya servant, Mahashay great personality, Sahasramukhe with thousands of mouths, Yanra whose guna qualities, Kaile describing na never, Haya becomes fulfilled. Vasudev Datta, the 19th branch of Sri Chaitanya tree, was a great personality and most confidential devotee of Lord. One could not describe his qualities even with thousands of mouths. Purport: Vasudev Datta, the brother of Mukund Datta, was also a resident of Chattogram. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is stated, Yanra Sthane Krishna Haya Apne Vikraya. Vasudev Datta was such a powerful devotee that Krishna was purchased by him. Vasudev Datta stayed at Srivas Pandit's house, and in the Chaitanya Bhagavat it is described that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Vasudev Datta and so affectionate toward him that he used to say, I am only Vasudev Datta's man, my body is only meant to please Vasudev Datta, and he can sell me anywhere. Thrice he vowed that this was a fact and that no one could disbelieve these statements. All my dear devotees, he said, I tell you the truth, my body is especially meant for Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta initiated Sri Yadunandan Acharya, the spiritual master of Raghunath Das, who later became Raghunath Das Goswami. This will be found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ante Lila, 6th chapter, verse 161. Vasudev Datta spent money very liberally. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Shivanand Sena to become his Sarkhela or secretary. In order to control his extravagant expenses, Vasudatta was so kind to the living entities that he wanted to take all their sinful reactions so that they might be delivered by Vasudev Datta was so kind to the living entities that he wanted to take all their sinful reactions so they might be delivered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is described in the 15th chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, verses 149 through 180. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, there is a railway station named Purvasthali near Navadvip railway station and about 1 mile away in a village known as Mamagachi, which is the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakur. There is presently a temple of Medna Gopal that was established by Vasudev Datta. The Gaudiya Math devotees have now taken charge of this temple and the Seva Puja is going on very nicely. Every year, all the pilgrims on the Navadvip Parikrama visit Mamagachi since Lord this is described in the 15th chapter. No, I think I've missed a few lines here. There is a railway station in Purvasthali near Navadvip railway station and about 1 mile away in a village known as Mamagachi. There is the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakur. There is presently a temple of Madan Gopal that was established by Vasudev Datta. The Gaudiya Matha devotees have now taken charge of this temple and the Seva Puja is going on nicely. Every year, all the pilgrims on the Navadvip Parikrama visit Mamagachi. Since Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur inaugurated the Navadvip Parikrama function, the temple has been very well managed. Verse 42. Jagate Yateka Jivatar Papa Lana Naraka Verse 42. Jagate Yateka Jivatar Papalana Lena Naraka Punjite Chahe Jiva Chadaiya. Jagate in the word Yatika, all Jiva entities, Tara their Papa sinful activities, Lana taking Narak, hell, Bunjite to suffer, Chahe wanted, Jiva the living entities, Chadaiya liberating them. Shri Vasudev Datta Thakur wanted to suffer for the sinful activities of all the people of the world so that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu might deliver them. Verse 43. Haridas Thakur Shakhara Adbhut Charita Tina Laksha Nama Teno Naina. Haridas Thakur Shakhara branch, Adbhuta wonderful, Charita characteristics, Tina 3 Laksha 100,000 Nama names, Teno, he Laina chanted, Apatit without fail. The 20th branch of Chaitanya tree was Haridas Thakur. His characteristics was wonderful. He used to chant the holy name of Krishna. The 20th branch of the Chaitanya tree was Haridas Thakur. His character was wonderful. Okay, the 20th branch was of course Haridas Thakur. His characteristics was wonderful. He used to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna 300,000 times. Certainly, the chanting of 300,000 holy names of the Lord is wonderful. No ordinary person can chant so many names, nor should one artificially imitate Haridas Thakur's behavior. It is essential, therefore, that everyone fulfill a specific vow to chant for Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, we have purchased in Therefore, we have prescribed in our society that all our students must chant at least 16 rounds daily. Such chanting must be offenseless in order to be of high quality. Mechanical chanting is not as powerful as chanting of the holy name without offenses. It is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda chapter 2 that Haridas Thakur was born in a village known as Budhana. But it is stated in Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda chapter 2 that Haridas Thakur was born in a village known as Budhana, but after some time came to live on the banks of Ganges at Puliya near Shantipur. From the description of this chastisement by Muslim magistrate, which is found in the 16th chapter of Adi Khanda of Chaitanya Mahabhagavad, we can understand how humble and meek Haridas Thakur was and how he achieved we can understand again lost it, sorry, how humble and meek Haridas Thakur was and how he achieved the costless mercy of the Lord. In the dramas performed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur played the part of police chief while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in Benapola. He was personally tested by Mayadevi herself. Haridas Thakur's passing away is described in the Antilila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, 11th chapter. It is not definitely how he was personally tested by Mayadevi herself. Haridas Thakur's passing away is described in the Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, 11th chapter. It is not definitely certain whether Sri Haridas Thakur appeared in the village named Budhana, which is the district of Khulna. Formerly, this village was also within a district of 24 parganas within the Satkshira division. Verse 44, Tanhara Ananta Gunat Kahi Din Matra Acharya Kusani Yanre Punjaya Shraddha Patra. Tanhara Haridas Thakur Anamata following Ananta unlimited good of qualities Kahi I speak Dena Matra only as Tanhara Haridas Thakur and the unlimited guna qualities, Kai I speak, then Matra only a small part, Acharya Gosani, Shubhadvit, Acharya Prabhu, Yanre, to whom Gunja offered to eat, Shraddha Patra, Prasadam offered to. There was no end to the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur. Here I mention but a fraction of his qualities. He was so exalted that Advait Goswami, when performing the Shraddh ceremony of his father, offered him the first plate. Verse 45, Prahlad Saman Tanra Gunera Taranga Yavana Tade Nayo Yandra Nahika Bhru Bhanga. Prahlad Saman, exactly like Prahlad Maharaj, Tanra is Gunera. Batsman, exactly like Prahlad Maharaj. Tanra Hills, Kolera qualities, Taranga waves, Yavana of the Muslims. Tara knew even by the persecution, Yanra whose Naika there was none, Bru, Bangu, the smallest agitation of an eyebrow. The waves of his good qualities were like those of Prahlad Maharaj. He did not even slightly raise an eyebrow when persecuted by the Muslim ruler. Verse 46. Teno siddhi paile tamra deha lena kole nachila chaitanya prabhu maha kutuhale. Teno he siddhi perfection paile after achieving tamra his deha body lena taking kole on the lap nachila dance chaitanya prabhu Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu maha kutuhale in great ecstasy. After the passing away of Sri Haridas Thakur, the Lord himself took his body on his lap and danced with it in great ecstasy. Verse 47. Tanra Lila Varni ya Chena Vrindavan Das Yeva Ava Shishta Age Kariba Prakash. Tanra his Lila pastimes Varni ya Chena described Vrindavan Das Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Yeva, whatever Avashisht remain undescribed. Again, later in the book, Kariba, I shall make Prakash manifest. Srila Vrindavan Das